AITA for not telling my child's biological father that his rights had been terminated years ago. I had a child with an ex-boyfriend. He left me, declared he had changed his mind about being a parent, and ghosted. After a few months, the lack of any formal custody agreement was starting to cause legal problems with my child's care. So I had to chase him down to get him to sign some kind of custody agreement. I had an agreement drafted by a lawyer that had primary custody going to me, but with visitation rights for him. I also had my lawyer provide me documents that would terminate his parental rights so I could offer that as well. I finally tracked him down. He screamed at me for a while, and he grabbed the first paper from me and signed it without reading it, asking me if I would finally leave him alone now. I hadn't contacted him at all before this. Imagine my surprise when I realized he actually signed to give up parental rights. On the advice of my lawyer, I had it filed with the court immediately. There was a hearing, which he received summons for but refused to appear in, and his rights were terminated. I never sought child support and moved on with my life, but kept all necessary documents related to it in a folder so that my child can have that information when they're old enough to ask. Years passed. I have never been opposed to having him be part of my child's life if he contacted me. But the safety and security of my child, both legally and emotionally, is my top priority, and I'm glad I can provide that. He apparently got married, and his wife contacted me with a scathing letter about how they would file for custody. I was a monster for keeping him from his child. Blah blah blah. I simply replied with, "Ma'am, dude voluntarily signed away his parental rights to child in 2013. Please see the attached court order and copy of the document that is signed by dude." You can also look up case number on State Court Records website accessible to the public, or contact courthouse directly for more information. Good day. They are screaming to all that will hear that this was illegal, that they're going to get it overturned, that I coerced him into signing by upholding papers, and they'll get full custody on the spot because I'm just so evil. His mother, who I speak to, is on my side because it's been so long with nothing, but thinks I should have given him a chance to realize what he was signing before filing it. AITA. Dude signed the papers and refused to appear in court when summoned. No judge is ever going to rule in their favor. His new wife should be taking a long hard look at this situation and question whether she should really be pursuing a future with him. In any case, you sought to do right by your child. NTA. On what grounds do they think they could get full custody anyway? They'd get laughed out of court. NTA. NTA. He didn't read what he signed and was busy throwing a tantrum. That's strike one on him. He didn't show up to court when summoned. That's strike two. He didn't get in contact for years. Only after he got remarried. Final strike. He had all the time in the world to have a relationship with his child, but didn't want to be bothered about it. Now it's done and over, and I doubt there is anything he can do because he willingly signed the papers without reading them. That is on him. He had his chance. He blew it. You tried to explain. He didn't want to hear and just to yell on him. He blew it again. Not your problem, and get your lawyer to handle it. There is little he can do after all these years, and no court would give him full custody after abandoning his child for so long. He just wants to complain that he's now not getting his way. Nothing more. NTA. You did give him a chance to read the documents before signing. He just didn't take it because he was too busy berating you. Now, years later, dude is embarrassed that he looks like a deadbeat to his new partner, so instead of taking responsibility for his actions, he once again makes you the heavy. Nope. Bye, bro. NTA. Your ex may have not known exactly what he was signing, But court documents aren't just signed and handed over, you had to have someone to notarize them. And that takes time. Also, what he did with words and actions make it clear that he had no one to be parent to your child. More importantly, the fact that it isn't him contacting you, but his current wife, is concerning. It tells me he still doesn't want to be a father. Edit to add, if they continue to harass you, make sure to inform them that you will be filing for back child support for the years he was absent. NTA. He's clearly been using it as a sympathy vote, and now his wife has got herself tangled up in his mess and fell for it. I had an ex that insisted I was keeping his kid from him. There's never been a child. There was never even a pregnancy, but he'd convinced himself. When my niece was born, 3 years after the breakup, he appeared in my life again, demanding to see his son, saying that I'm a vile human being for keeping him away, etc. Saying the pictures of my niece on my FB were proof of me having a child. I tried to explain the lack of logic behind that and how I would have had to be pregnant for 3 years for it to be his. He didn't care. He was adamant. His fiancée at the time spoke to me really calmly at first, and I explained it all to her. She accepted it and apologized for anything she may have said. The very next day, they both came screaming at me again about how I'm an awful mother and deserve to die. I mean, I clearly am a terrible mother. Seeing as I have no kids, I still spoke to his mother at the time, as we had a really good friendship still, and she was livid. She flew off the handle at them, saying she's gonna file for harassment on my behalf if they didn't leave me alone. He went quiet again for a few years. He's popped back up a few times on multiple FB accounts, sending me the same exact messages, which I just keep insta-blocking. Last I heard, he'd had 2 kids that he'd abused and lost to the state, and was in prison on multiple drug charges. No idea about the fiancé, baby mama. NTA. He had plenty of opportunities to read what he was signing and show up in court. He never did. That's on him. I don't understand women like this fraud who will believe any story someone tells them. It's like, honey, there are 2 sides to every story, and OP's side comes in the form of a court order. Oh, your ex knows he gave up his parental rights. If his mother knows, he knows. Even so, this is not new information for him. He knows that he'd be paying child support otherwise. He married a delusional harpy though. Better to keep her, and her anger, focused on you than focused on him. What a lovely marriage they must have. NTA. NTA. They probably can't have kids, and that's why they contacted you. NTA. Well, as a single parent myself, I am awed by the gall of these 2. Having that thick of a face to declare himself so worthy of a parent that he would have a chance to gain primary custody just because he wanted to sue for it after not having anything to do with your kid. Also, him conveniently forgetting that he demanded that you leave him alone when he didn't want to be a parent. A child is not a thing you can take up like a hobby when you want to feel like a parent. These people are just yuck. NTA. Signing legal document without reading it is foolish, at best not bothering to show up to court after a summons, doubly so, for a custody hearing no less. And then, 7 years later, suddenly he's offended that he has no parental rights. Seems like the sort of thing he'd pay attention to if he was actually interested. Sounds like he's far more interested in fighting and blaming you than in being a parent. As for his signing the wrong papers in error, a semi-understandable blunder on his part. And yes, you could have pointed it out to him later. So maybe not so cool on your part. But far more important is what you did not do. You did not use his blunder to prevent him from seeing his kid. So even though he made an error in signing, you did not leverage that to hurt him. Ergo NTA. NTA. He signed without reading. His fault, not yours. Nor can they prove a single thing regarding coercion. Your lawyer had your back good on that one, and now they're up the creek. All this is from them is idle whining that won't amount to anything. NTA, the formative years for a child are ages 0 to 7. That's where parents need to be a constant figure. To be parent after that age just causes upheaval. Every child deserves consistency. NTA, dude's living with the consequences of his stupid actions. I kinda hope you go to court, and he has to pay legal fees. I don't think this will go well for him. You are free to see child when you wish. If you want your parents' rights reinstated, you can take me to court. I think a judge would love to know why you haven't paid any child support for over 7 years. ETA, NTA, of course. NTA, what fool signs legal documents without reading them? NTA, reading the paper was formal chance number 1. The court summons was formal chance number 2. The intervening 7 years was chance number N. All the time he had your contact details and knew where you were and all the contact you had through his mother. That was all the other chance he had. More than many. Don't worry. They haven't a toe to stand on between them. And their unreasonable outbursts only go to show what a good decision it was for you to continue without him all these years. Keep on keeping records of the contact. Hopefully it won't become useful, but it might do. NTA, he chose to run away. He chose to lie to his current wife about his decision to be a deadbeat dad. File for child support. That's as involved as he has any right to be. OMG. How narcissistic of them to think that they'll get full custody on the spot without a thought of the emotional impact on a child who hasn't seen their father in 7 years. Are they having fertility problems by any chance? The man made his bed when he abandoned his child and signed any piece of paper put in front of him. Now he can lie in that bed. NTA. NTA, his wife is the only one who wants contact with the child. Here, I'd lawyer up, or take this to our legal advice with your location, just to see if they have a case. I don't think they do, but if the wife is so hell-bent on this, there's the chance it actually makes it to court.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. AmITheAsshole is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.